Top of the morning, evening, night, or day, ladies and gentlemen. This is me here today on behalf of all prepared men, and I hope everyone's well and good. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about Seiko's history. So if that sounds right up your alley, don't forget to stay up until the very end.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and the following video is for subscribed devices only.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if I'll have another opportunity to have this many cool Seikos together. I have quite a few listed on Vinted for sale. It's one of my favorite watch brands. It's been with me since the beginning of my journey. And I just sold the first Seiko that I bought.
Hi, I'm Nuno. This is my new Seiko 5.
Ballin'.
I got it from Santos Creative Network, and I'm in absolute love with my brand new watch.
This is the first Seiko that really made me think this is a cool brand and worth exploring. When I bought this watch, I was looking to buy a Tissot PRX, but it was a little bit out of my price range at the time, and I didn't feel comfortable paying that much for a quartz watch. So I looked at automatic alternatives. I stumbled across this Seiko 5, which is a Seiko 5 7S26. And one of my favorite things about this watch is obviously the fact that it reminds me of a Tissot PRX, but also the hands. I really like the hands of this watch. They're dolphin hands, according to my understanding, but a more modernized version because we don't have the intricacy of dolphin hands that I will show you further on down the line. We've got a loomed version and shape. So this is a really cool Seiko. It really got me into Seiko. So the first Seiko that I want to show you is also a Seiko 5. And I'm actually going to flip the camera so we can see this at a better angle. So the first model I want to show you guys is a Seiko 5 Sportsmatic Deluxe. This pretty much brings us down all the way to when this model was introduced. The Seiko 5 line was introduced in 1963. Here we have the evolution of how much this watch changed in 20 years. I'm gonna show you some watches that are between the Seiko 5 7S26 and the Sportsmatic Deluxe. So here we have another Seiko 5, which I think it's quite cool. This is the Seiko 5 6119 8095. One of the coolest things about this watch is that it's got the day and date in separate displays. I've seen this in other Seikos, but the Seiko 56119 is the only model that I've seen that has this feature. I've seen this feature in the Seiko DX and in the Seiko Weekdater, but this is the only Seiko 5 that I saw that has this feature. Something that I also really like about this watch is how the dial aged. As we can see, there's loads of wear on the dial, and I think this is really unique. Basically, this watch is from 1970, and there's a story here. I spent a lot of time on someone's wrist, and I really like that. The watch has lived. The next Seiko that I'm gonna show you guys is from 1974, so it's a little bit closer to the 7S26 in terms of how it looks, but in terms of movement, it still has the 6119, which is the movement we saw on this watch here. Something that I really like about this watch is how blingy it looks. The 70s were a very out there time in terms of watch design, and I think they produce some really cool stuff. This watch has a tiger eye dial, and if you notice along the years, the 5 has moved positions. So it was here in 1965. We also have some watches which aren't the deluxe version, which have the 5 here below. This particular 5 has the 5 here on the side, and the 5 we just saw has the 5 here on the bottom. So I think that is a very interesting variation. I think I collected a lot of 5s because I enjoyed seeing the 5 in different places. But this 5 here is one of my favorites, and it sits in my personal watch collection because of how unique it is. It's a really beautiful watch. I'm just trying to show you different angles here so you can appreciate the style. Next Seiko that I'm going to show you guys is from 1973, and this is a Seiko Lordmatic. So this is higher version compared to the 5. It's a watch that was designed in order to resemble a jewel, I believe. So they basically shaped this watch in order to always reflect light. So it's a really blingy piece, and the dial is very unique in terms of color. So I really like this watch. It's very unique, very different. As you can see, it's something that as soon as it hits the light, it reflects something. So I think Seiko really engineered this well in that sense, because it's really jewel-like. Now we're moving on to some higher grade Seikos. This here is the Seiko Blue Yacht. It's one of Seiko's first automatic watches. Something that I really like about this watch is the dial. There's this very cool effect going on. It's like a swirl type of effect. That's the best way to explain it. Anyway, this watch was produced in 1961. This was the first watch that they advertised as being water resistant. It's 30 meters water resistant. I don't really want to test that in any way, shape, or form. This is the precursor to Seiko's water resistant watches that you see today. Something really cool about watchmaking at this time is that they really put effort into it. And there's something that I want to share with you. There is a star here in the bottom, and this star means that the watch has a special dial treatment and uses rare metals or special metals. Basically, the markers of this watch are made out of white gold. Anyway, very beautiful piece, very elegant, looks super discreet on the wrist in terms of size, but the dial is so beautiful that it just attracts so much attention. The next watch that I want to show you guys is the Seiko Weekdater. This is a really cool watch in my opinion. It kind of reminds me of this one, but a more classy version. What we have here is Seiko's top of the line in the 60s, according to my understanding. This has an automatic movement. It's 35 joules. It's got a day and date display. This is a serious watch. Something that you'll also notice here is that it has the 8-pointed star. So that means that we're also dealing with gold, and it's a really nice touch. I really like these two watches together because they have separate day and date displays. So this is one of the biggest things that motivated me to pick up these watches. Something that I also really like about this watch is the dolphin hands that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. The Seiko 7S26 has this style of hands, but it's a more modern version, and I really like both styles. The last Seiko that I want to show you guys is the evolution of the Seiko Weekdater. So this is a Seiko Weekdater from 1969, and this is a Seiko Weekdater from 1964. So we can see that the watch evolved a lot, but it still maintained its classiness. This is a really beautiful timepiece, in my opinion. One of my favorite things about this watch is how much the markers reflect light. It's a really simple dial, but the markers are just crazy shiny. The last watch that I'm going to show you guys was built in the 80s. This watch is the Seiko SQ100. It was produced initially in the 80s up until the 90s, I believe. This particular watch here is inspired in the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. It's a super cool watch in my opinion, very beautiful. Here we already start seeing a lot of developments in terms of watchmaking. This is a quartz watch. It's not an automatic watch, as we can see by the tick. It has 100 meters of water resistance, and the case design evolved a lot from the 70s to the 80s, as you can see, and from the 60s to the 80s, the jump was even bigger. This watch may look like a Royal Oak, but it doesn't cost Royal Oak money, and that's one of my favorite things about my watches. I'm able to enjoy great watches at affordable prices. I really don't feel the need to buy luxury watches because the watches that we have here, you won't see on anyone else's wrist. They're extremely well made and they're more affordable than buying a luxury watch, which I don't think will look as nice as this. So here we have it, a little bit of Seiko history. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you for sticking with me up until the end and proceed to have a rest of an amazing day.